Welcome, everybody. We are back. This is the Sigma Show, episode 18. I'm your host, Sigma. Before I let you know who I'm joined by this week, real quick, we're just going to go over what our topics are going to be for today's episode. First up, Avatar Studios is a thing. We're going to be getting more Avatar content in the near future. We're going to talk about what we maybe expect or want to see from that. Also teased in the movie space, a possible Mass Effect movie with Henry Cavill being attached, maybe? How does that sound? Also, we're going to talk about, once again, Anthem and how it is maybe finally going to kind of end its long, turbulent story. And last but not least, Sony had a State of Play conference recently, and we're going to basically go through all the stuff that interested us or didn't interest us from that. But joining me today to talk about these things is Blue Bones,
What's going on, everybody? It's your boy.
as well as Rexicon Jesse.
Good morning, or whatever time it is there.
Yeah, whatever time it is where you are. Thanks, guys, so much for joining me with this. Let's jump right into today's topics.
Yeah.
First up, I was going to say Nintendo. Nickelodeon, which is pretty close. Nickelodeon has just announced that they are starting Avatar Studios. Both creators of the original Avatar series are heading it up, and it's basically going to be producing additional Avatar stories. So their first big announcement is a new animated movie is in the works. What are your first thoughts and reactions to this news?
I think it's dope. I think it's exactly what the fans want and what the fans need at this point. With such a deep and touching story, and with the climate that we have right now, yeah, we want that. We need that. It's such a wholesome story in general too. So let's get more of that out there. I have zero opposition to this, and even though I haven't finished watching the original series, but I'm still hyped about this because
Okay.
I know that it's good, and I know that I know that's good, and I know that these people have put in enough time and work, and they've watched I should say social issues enough to push out good stories that are relevant for 2021 and still entertaining in the Avatar universe.
Right. Tommy in the chat is saying, please finish. It's very good until the end. Very consistent.
Oh yeah, no, trust me, I definitely want to. Life just does life things, you know what I mean?
But how about you, Jesse? Are you a big Avatar fan? Are you excited about this news?
Okay, I have a bit of mixed feelings. I love Last Airbender. That is a fantastic show. It is one of the few pieces of media that made me cry and made me do it multiple times. Like,
Wow.
it's so good. I love it. I couldn't get into Korra. I like the character,
What?
but that writing is infinitely weaker.
What?
I do.
I
Oh,
I
all right.
also hate steampunk and the color palette that they use for every background, every car, every piece of clothes. It's just a swath of brown. And it's like,
I can see that.
and the original's so colorful. It's so beautiful. It's like such a great thing. And they do like that. There's a lot of people that have that, like that old kind of voice that kind of does like this. And we're talking on the
Yeah.
radio.
That 1920s,
I-
30s.
I hate that. Yeah, it's so, and that's also by the same two creators. Like
Yeah,
it wasn't like
yeah.
a new project. So as much as I love the original, I don't think it's perfect. So I am worried. I'm not worried. I'm not going to get my hopes super high.
Okay.
Because they might go in a direction I don't want, and if that's what they want to do, that's fine. I don't think Korra is a bad show, and I will try to finish it. And I have heard it changes over the seasons. And I'm
Yeah.
more interested in kind of where it's going than where it's still at halfway through season one. But like, yeah, I think more of that because I've heard really good things about the comics, which I do want to read.
Mhm.
So I think that, and the world is so rich and wonderful. They really did such a good job creating it that I am excited to see what more stuff can be made with that. It is weird that it's starting 20 years later.
Yeah,
Like,
there has been some sort of weird pushback, it seems, from Nickelodeon to kind of bury the Avatar series. Like after The Last Airbender came out and was like such a big deal, it seemed like it took a while for Korra to be announced and for them to do something with that. And then like as they were writing Korra, they were pushing episodes off of the actual station onto like the website because they didn't want people to see like what they were doing with the writing or something like that. It was so wonky. So I do feel like there was a lot of bad blood between Nickelodeon and arguably the best show that has ever come out of that freaking company.
Oh,
I mean, I'm cool with that.
Look, I honestly believe Avatar: Last Bender is the best thing Nick has ever made. Like,
I think SpongeBob is high on there.
I think
to be honest.
it's as popular and it is also very good. I still think
it's
Avatar
high on
is
there.
much better. Like I love SpongeBob. Don't get, especially like old school SpongeBob that I grew up with. I love it. It's great. It's
most
fantastic.
definitely.
I think Avatar across the board is much better than SpongeBob. But I will say, like Jesse was mentioning, the world of Avatar, it's so amazing. Like you know, like the Eastern mythology mixed with you know, like the martial arts and like the way it tells its story of like friendship and war, and like they don't really skimp on some of the atrocities that are involved. Like they're like truly evil characters and you can see their motivations in that story. So it's just really a hallmark of just really good writing. So like I'm glad that these guys have control over this world and can continue to make stories in that world because I'm super eager to see them. Like as big as people are on like Harry Potter and stuff, I could easily fall into an Avatar like world as complex, as fleshed out as like the Harry Potter universe. Like magic and stuff doesn't really like that doesn't speak to me in a way. But like magical kung fu, yes. Like sign me up.
So magic does speak to you. You're just a weeb.
Right. Pretty much. Like the idea that training in martial arts can give you magic powers is so much more interesting to me than reading a book and doing science projects and then you're a wizard, Harry. Like whatever.
I feel you.
So
it's for the indoor kids. It's all right.
So with how big that world is, I do think they can get a ton of mileage out of a studio that's just dedicated to making more Avatar stories. Like there were like little bits and pieces missing from the original story that I personally wouldn't mind them going back to. Like I know we could run into sort of a Star Wars issue where they keep filling in gaps that don't necessarily need to be filled.
I was gonna start.
Yeah, like because it is a thing that's possible, but I do think there are super interesting stories still left. Like they never animated the whole side thing with Zuko and his mom. Like that was the comics I think Jesse was referring to. Like we never really got to see that story in action. We could learn about like the history of the White Lotus, like with Iroh and all those other guys who spanned all the different nation factions and whatnot. You could learn about Iroh and his son. Like we've never seen Iroh's son in any kind of flashback either. Like just a picture of him at most. So like there's tons of stories.
I have a question. Now I haven't finished this, and I understand that there might be spoilers involved. I come into this question full knowing this, but at the very beginning of the Avatar series, like he was trapped for how many years?
I think it was 100.
Yeah,
100 years, right? So what I'm thinking is 20 years in the future with this story is nothing to whatever kind of stasis he was in. So there still might be a connection to Legend of Korra or that first series that we've seen, because I don't know if people get trapped all the time, but I was just thinking when you guys mentioned that is 20 years in the future, and it feels so distant, but I realized that Aang is 100 years in his future.
He's 112 years old technically.
You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So 20 might not be as big as we're thinking. Possibly.
Maybe. Impact in the chat says, I know this is controversial, but I love Korra more than The Last Airbender.
Oh wow.
I mean, I also love Korra. I can't say if I love it more, but they're very close in my head. Like I think Korra does a lot of things better than Avatar did, and Avatar, I agree, Jesse, it does have the better story overall, like for sure.
Yeah.
Superman Jeff in the chat. What's up, Jeff?
What's up, Jeff?
Hey, Jeff. Yeah,
so
you're
releasing this on Paramount Plus, right?
I think it's
that the one?
Paramount Plus and Nickelodeon. I think is what the article said.
Bruh.
I
I just started hearing about this Paramount Plus.
Yeah, that's new.
I don't know how I feel about it.
It's copying what Warner Bros. Is doing. Except, it's not copying what Warner Bros. Is doing. They're making their own separate thing, which is the bad version. Like, just take all your stuff and put it on an already established thing. Like, team up with I guess not Disney Plus because they're kind of their own monopoly. Team up with like Netflix or something. Like you can't lose in that regard.
Yeah, you really can't.
But whatever.
I mean, they could license their stuff out to like, oh, we're gonna give this to Netflix, and I don't know.
They got originals too.
Yeah, gosh, they do because they have Picard and Discovery.
Star
on
Trek
CBS.
I was like, what the heck?
Yeah.
SpongeBob, a new SpongeBob movie's coming out. I don't know. I
The new
want to see
Rugrats
the worst.
movie too.
Yeah, that's true. And this is what scares me is that if I want to watch this new movie, I have to get Paramount Plus or Nickelodeon possibly.
Or
I'm not
steal it.
looking forward to that.
There's
I didn't want to say it. This is the Sigma show.
I mean, if they really screw over your options to see the stuff you really want to see, then that's
I
when
feel
that
what
sort
you're
of thing starts to become
Right.
more appealing. Let's say.
That's one of the things that
Right.
made piracy like, I'm just gonna say piracy is like a blanket statement, but made like peer-to-peer sharing and piracy and all of that so appealing and so useful was because it was difficult to get what you wanted. When things like Netflix started coming up, and even before streaming, just for this price, I could just have a disc in the mail. Okay, a little bit of patience. I can have everything I want, and I don't have to worry about the quality of it.
And a
Like,
clear
it's gonna
conscience.
Yeah, and that's worth it. When everything gets chopped up and segmented, it loses the convenience and the appeal. And it's like, okay, well, if I'm not losing my money to give to this giant corporation who just wants to squeeze me for a dime, forget them.
Right. So yeah, like I'm very much of two minds in regards to that. But before we move on to the next topic, are there any things in the Avatar universe that you guys particularly are maybe excited about them exploring now that they kind of have this studio to do that work with?
Because I don't have as rich of a history with Avatar that you guys do, I will say my favorite type of bending was metal bending, and I'd like to see more of that. I mean, that's just like the 10-year-old answer, to be honest with you. But
So you haven't started Korra at all yet because you haven't finished the first one, right?
I actually have started Korra.
Oh, okay.
I had to. It's a long situation, but I had to start Korra at one point, and I didn't have access to Avatar to the first.
Okay, because there is a lot more metal bending in Korra. Like they
yes,
expand upon that
and
a
I
lot.
really liked that. Yeah,
it's cool.
Magneto, you know what I mean?
The first metal bender.
Yes, I love it.
How about you, Jesse? Anything you're excited that they might touch on, or any other ideas that you think could come out of the studio?
I mean, on the subject of 10-year-old me's favorite thing about it, magic kung fu is the big thing. I like.
Yeah, no, I feel that.
It's such a. Oh, go ahead.
No,
Excited
please.
about it. Oh, okay.
No, I'm gonna write it down. Go ahead.
I really enjoy the mood and the feeling and everything about the bending and how it is a discipline, but it's also part like you have to have it, but also you have to nurture it. It doesn't mean that you're good at it.
Right.
So it's a cool duality, and they weave it into the story and like the world and the philosophy of the world so much that it just feels so good. So it's more than just magic kung fu. It looks awesome as just magic kung fu. It's freaking sweet. If it stopped there, it would still be good. But it is so much more than that.
Yeah, like it really borrows from actual like martial arts teachings and philosophy and like meditation and stuff. Like you learn legitimate life lessons from watching Avatar: The Last Airbender and Legend of Korra as an extension too. So yeah, more of that. Like we need more shows that are aimed at kids but can teach adult, like very adult lessons to those kids, and like adults can in turn enjoy it as a result.
I wanted to respond to what Jesse said just now, and don't get me wrong, I love all those qualities that you just named. However, I feel like all of that is kind of the premise for most shonen anime.
You know what? Premise, yes, but execution.
Yeah, execution's different, 100%. Yeah, But I was like, I was thinking about, oh, have I had a story like that? And I'm like, well, Black Clover is kind of like that. Oh, well,
How
Dragon
dare
Ball
you?
Z. I'm just saying, no. I'm just
Dare
saying the
you bring
basic
up Black Clover in the same
principle.
sentence as Avatar?
No, but that's exactly my point. You know what I mean? Is that it's, But anyway, what I did remember earlier, I do want to see different fighting styles. You guys did say
Ooh.
kung fu, but it would be cool if we saw like a boxer bender or some kind of MMA, like a grappler bender
You
or something
gotta
like
watch
that.
Legend of Korra because you're basically
Okay.
like you're basically saying stuff that happens.
All right. Cool.
Like you're Blue for real. Like do yourself a favor, cut out everything else, finish Avatar.
I'm trying to finish Samurai Jack right now. Like I
mean,
know
that's a
that's
good
one
one.
of the sacred ones. You
But
see what I'm
I would
saying?
still say put a pause, like because of this news, put a pause button on Samurai Jack, which is amazing. Samurai Jack is amazing.
Yeah.
Put a pause
Mhm.
button on it. Finish all the Avatar stuff.
Okay.
It'll enrich
All
your
right.
life, literally.
If you play Ghost of Tsushima with me, I'll do that.
Deal. I just finished Act 1.
Good.
I was taking a little break, but a project that I was about to start on got pulled away from me, so I do have more free time now. So sure.
Got you, bro. Hey, y'all heard it here, right here on the Signal Show. It's not to happen.
Okay, so we'll move off of the Avatar stuff, move on to Mass Effect, which we have talked about on the show before, but recently Henry Cavill kind of released a teaser tweet / Instagram post of him holding the script, which was super blurry. The internet sleuths, unblurried the script, and you could see it had a ton of like Mass Effect names and places and whatnot in it. It was like, I think it was pulled from a Wikipedia article specifically on Mass Effect. So rumors are now swirling that Henry Cavill could be attached to some sort of Mass Effect TV show or movie. How does that sound to you guys? Especially with the state that Mass Effect is in nowadays. How does the Mass Effect movie sound to you, even if Henry Cavill's attached?
I might have missed it. Is there a reason everybody's thinking this script is for a TV show and a movie and not an upcoming Mass Effect game?
Yeah, I was kind of on the
No.
same path. I think it's because Henry Cavill's involved, and he is an actor and movie star versus, super tied to video game stuff. Like, the last video game thing he was related to was the Witcher TV show and not a Witcher video game. So I get why that's the first thing they jumped to, but I'm kind of in the same boat as you. Like, it could also be him being involved in another game.
Yeah, I think the IGN article mentioned something about possible voice acting. But what I found really cool was the Focus Magic app that they used. The picture was super blurry, y'all. Super blurry. And I guess people on the internet used Focus Magic first, and then IGN confirmed it that these were like, the real names. But it was just crazy. I was looking at the screenshots of how they did it. It's wild.
Technology.
I think, yeah, technology, right? Welcome to 2021. Henry Cavill, I think he did a good job with The Witcher 3. I don't have any problems with him.
Well, you mean The Witcher, not The Witcher 3.
Excuse me, The Witcher. Thank you. Thank you. I have no problems with him being involved in the Mass Effect project. Now, I think Mass Effect needs a movie. I don't know if they need a TV show. I think they need something to reignite the fandom. Just
That's
like
hilarious. Reignite is the name of the theme song in Mass Effect 3. That is what the theme of Mass Effect 3 song is called.
Reignite the fandom. So yeah, I think it's something that Mass Effect needs. Because I don't think as many people are gonna buy it on faith that this game is gonna be the next game is gonna be as amazing as, or the problem is it's gonna be as amazing as the last ones.
Lampy says Henry Cavill printed a Wikipedia page and is trolling everyone. Right, 'cause we don't have any other information, right? It's just Henry Cavill, something about Mass Effect. What could it be? Like, it's a huge tease. Like, what if Henry Cavill is a big nerd? Like, we know this. Like, he's built PCs.
Yeah.
He, plays video games on a regular. He could totally just be trolling the internet. But, like, I don't know. Like, Blue is right. EA is trying to make another Mass Effect. They do need kind of a shot in the arm in regards to, fan engagement. Is a TV show or movie the best option? Or is getting someone who's lovable like Henry Cavill involved in just the game enough? Like, because I feel like that's the kind of thinking that a big dumb company like EA might fall into, Like, oh, let's get someone that everybody likes to be attached to it, and that'll help it, be more likable.
But on the opposite side of that, Mass Effect has had plenty of celebrity voice actors before.
That is true.
Plenty of them. So I don't. While he would still be a draw, I don't think that would be their only strategy. I hope that wouldn't be their only strategy.
I will say, I've been recently watching The Expanse on Amazon.
Yeah,
it's a fantastic sci-fi show, and from episode 1, I was getting heavy Mass Effect vibes.
Wow.
Like if The Expanse wasn't its own universe, like that's what I would want a Mass Effect show to be, because I absolutely love the lore in Mass Effect. Like it's sci-fi,
Yeah.
it's strong, like all the technology that it uses and the terminology and its world building, all that is amazingly strong, and then it also has really strong characters in its storytelling. So I think it could actually stand on its own as a media property divorced from any gameplay. Like that story is strong enough. So I don't know if Henry Cavill is involved, in an acting role, and like say they make him a Commander Shepard. I'm a little less excited because I don't want a retelling of the story we played already. Like I'd rather just a story in the Mass Effect universe. And when you get someone as big as Henry Cavill, I have a hard time believing that they're gonna make him just, a brand new character in that world. Like he's gonna be someone that we would all recognize.
I'll say there's two possibilities that I do not want to see for sure, right? I don't want to see and I haven't played it through myself, but I was still kind of disappointed. Cyberpunk, Keanu Reeves, right? He was a side character. I've heard that he's like pretty important to the story, but
yeah, he's kind of like a co-star, honestly.
he's really a co-star. Okay,
Yeah, he's there with you from like the end of the first, like the end of the, what do you call it, the prelude, and then he's with you for like the entire rest of the game.
Okay, well, in that case, when I was watching people play, I never saw him popped up on the screen, and I guess it's because of the story. So, the other option I was thinking was Fallen Order.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to have to play Henry Cavill's character. That's what I don't want in Mass Effect.
So
See what I'm saying?
you don't want him. You
To
don't want
be
him
the
to
character,
use his likeness as the star,
the
of
main
next
character.
game. Okay.
Yeah, I don't want that.
Yeah, I mean, I do think it'd be weird if they used just his voice. Like Henry Cavill has a look,
Yeah,
like he looks like a
Yeah.
freaking video game protagonist.
He
So, yeah, I feel like that's a stretch. Like,
I don't
if he's
like
involved
that.
in a
I
game,
don't like that.
I find it hard to believe that they wouldn't use his face.
Anybody could look like a video game protagonist. We need to stop normalizing that this dude looks like a video game protagonist. Real talk.
No, you're absolutely right. Anyone could be, but the industry tends to favor a certain look, and
That's a shame.
it is a shame. But Jeff says he's gonna be a Reaper. But I mean, yeah, like after that original trilogy, they haven't really done right by Mass Effect since. They're claiming that they're going to do a new one. So yeah, I don't know. It could be an absolute toss up. We have no concrete details as to what this project could be, or if it's even a project at all. Honestly, it could absolutely be a troll from Henry Cavill. But like if you could choose what this would be, like we'll end this discussion on that. If you could choose, is his involvement in a game capacity? You would prefer that, or would you prefer it like a TV show, or would you prefer a movie or something like that, or an anime? Maybe he's voicing a Mass Effect anime or something.
That might be dope.
Like, what would you hope this is?
Jesse, I'll let you go, bro. I've been talking a lot.
Yeah, but you have good things to say. So that's,
Thanks.
that's nice. I just want it to be good. I don't care. That's all I really want, because I agree with you. Mass Effect is a fantastic world or universe. Like how the technology works, how all the aliens, interact with each other. Everything is so cool as it is. More in that world is neat. I also don't want it to be a retelling of Shepard's story.
Mm-hmm.
I have been there. It was a great story until the third one. And we've moved on. The world is so much bigger than Shepard.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, you're absolutely right. That's kind of the whole point of the series, right?
You would hope. You would hope.
Yeah, I'm hoping that's true.
What would I want if I ever got to choose? Honestly, I think he did a good job with Witcher. I'd like to see a Netflix TV show.
Netflix show. Okay.
That would be cool.
Yeah. I could see it.
Especially-
I trust Netflix. I trust him. Let's do it.
Nice. All right.
And I have Netflix, so
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't have to buy anything
Boom.
else.
yeah,
Already
or
there.
go out
if
to
it's
a
on
theater
Paramount Plus,
to do that.
Golly.
It's gonna be on EA Access.
Oh my god.
Speaking of EA,
Yeah.
Anthem development has ceased. A news story came out last week that EA was going to decide on the fate of Anthem, because we did hear previously to that they were working on a big revamp called Anthem Next. They were going to rework the whole game, make it into something that would maybe hopefully bring back the game that everyone wanted when it was first released and didn't get. And EA met with, I guess, the devs and then decided, no, we're not moving forward. No more Anthem. The servers are going to stay up for now, but there's going to be no additional content, and those teams are being broken up and split between the new Dragon Age game and the new Mass Effect game. So Anthem effectively is dead. It's finished.
They had to pay for Henry Cavill to come in. So they're like,
that's not cheap money. I gotta get it from somewhere.
we're going to have to let you go, Anthem.
So I mean, how does this strike you that this very long and troubled game franchises, EA has finally given up on it?
I'm sad.
You're sad about it.
Yeah. I liked Anthem. I really did. I love the controls. I actually liked the story. I just hated the mechanics at the end of the day, the end game and all that stuff. And they said they were going to revamp it. I'm like, okay, cool. They're going to do something. Whatever they did was nothing, right? It was like a racing event and then some other stupid thing that didn't work half the time. All right. Okay. They increased the drop rates. I don't care. I'm in the same spot, bro. I'm in the same spot the whole time. Do you guys not hear us for all these years that can we do something different? And then now they're like, okay, we're going to do all this stuff. And blah, blah, blah. They list all, and then they're like, we're just going to cut it.
Yeah, how about you, Jesse?
That's depressing.
Yeah. I mean, I never played Anthem.
Mm-hmm.
I think I mentioned this when we were talking the other day. I mean, I personally thought it looked boring when I saw the first trailer for it. And I thought it looked boring when I saw reviews for it. And everybody said it was garbage. And then a few people were like, hey, gameplay's fun, like you were saying, but I'm stuck in this same spot. And it's like, okay, well, it didn't look like my jam before, and it looks like it's definitely not my jam now. Yeah, I will say I'm glad that it does seem like people did not lose their jobs over it, that people are getting moving, because that's sad. I don't like Anthem. Like, a game shutters. Oh no, bye. I didn't care. But I do feel bad. It's like, well, those were people who had jobs that don't now. But if they're moving to other projects like Mass Effect and Dragon Age, that's really good. I am happy about that.
Yeah, it's a silver lining.
Yeah.
Because maybe they can lose the stink of a project that has kind of just been in the toilet from day one, almost.
Right?
Oh man.
But like, sorry.
No, it's all right. It just hurts to hear it.
Yeah.
You're right, though. You're right.
The overhaul struck me like, okay, and I know that they mentioned that part of the reason was COVID, and I'm sure that absolutely made it harder. And to borrow from Checkpoint, this is a great show. They did a little bit on the story too. It's like, yeah, but COVID didn't stop the game from releasing as it was in 2019. Like,
Yep.
that's still what it was. You don't have
That
to
is
blame
true.
on it.
Yeah.
And like, I'm kind of shocked that they were willing to even try to overhaul it. That's huge.
I was excited and I was happy. It sounded and it felt like EA was like, okay, we understand the consumers are not happy about this. let's mix it up. Let's do it differently. Let's listen to them. That's what it felt like initially with all these announcements. And I see some people talking about it in the chat. The announcement itself is really what's making this devastating. All these rework announcements is what's making this devastating.
Yeah.
If they back then were like, all right, this ain't working, we won't cut it, we'd all laugh about it and forget about it by 2020, right?
Yeah.
But all this promise.
Like, I think it's kind of like a double blow. Like, it's a blow to the fans of it because I actually was pretty high on what Anthem could be when it was released, when they were talking about what it might have been. Like, I jumped into the beta period that it had, and after getting my hands on it and playing it, I was severely underwhelmed. I was like, this doesn't feel fun at all. Like, I liked customizing the Iron Man suit or whatever, but like actually playing the game, like linking up with other people, like the flow of missions, like all of it just felt bad and boring. The like way they did the story, like all of it was just bad. It was really bad, right? So I was disappointed then. When they did do the announcement, like Chad is saying, like maybe it would have been better had they not done the announcement. But when they did do the announcement, again, I was excited about the possibility of it once again being the thing that we thought it was going to be. Like, I considered buying it like on like a sale because like Anthem was like dirt cheap for like a really long time.
It was like $10.
Yeah, I was considering
like,
buying it so that whenever they did release the update, I wouldn't have to buy like, you know, maybe like a brand new version of the game, you know, because like maybe the price would raise up if it was actually good again, right? But luckily I didn't do that, and now they've basically said like, all right, well, forget it, we're not going to release the game, and that, like, as much as that is a disappointment to us as fans, EA is a company that has a number of really big franchises, but then everything outside of that bubble has been struggling. Like, EA doesn't actually have a lot of games to their name, and Anthem was supposed to be their Destiny. It was supposed to be their Rainbow Six Siege. Like, it was supposed to be their big live service game that, you know, would kind of prop up the company. So they invested a ton of money into it, which is why I understand, like, if it didn't do well in the beginning, they'd give it a second shot. They say, all right, well, there's a lot of other games in the industry that didn't come out to what fans thought they would be. Like Destiny, probably the biggest example of a game that released, was kind of disappointing at first and then was fixed and improved upon over time and is now still a huge juggernaut in that space. They thought they could probably do that, and then they gave up on the idea. So
I did want to say, I think EA might have more hits than you think, mostly because they have a pretty big hold in the sports field as well.
Well, I mean, I feel like sports is kind of, well, I don't want to say sports is niche, but it doesn't give them the kind of recognition that they would want in this space. EA is a huge publisher, but like Madden, FIFA, they don't have an NBA game anymore. I don't think they have an NHL game anymore either, right? So it's really just FIFA and Madden, correct? And like, and they're trying to bring back college football.
Yeah, I heard that they were trying to bring college football.
Yeah, Pocket says FIFA, Madden, and yeah, I think that's it. And those are very big franchises, especially worldwide. But like, no one's talking about Madden on the regular. No one's talking about FIFA on the regular, right? And EA is a company that, just like all these other big AAA companies, they want to grow. They want to be in the news. They want to have hits outside of that.
Yeah.
All they have is Titanfall. Oh, not Titanfall. I'm sorry. They have Apex, which is Titanfall adjacent. And then
I mean, they got
Battlefront, sure.
Star Wars Battlefront.
Which I think it was Elijah from Escapist who brought it up when the news on Twitter broke about Anthem, and saying like, I think he was saying that he was surprised because like, well, they reworked, you know,
Battlefront
Star
2,
Wars.
yeah, Battlefront 2 got a rework, yeah,
and that was a huge disappointment. It got reworked. But I also feel like Battlefront's got Disney behind it. And if they mucked that up, Disney would have buried them. Like, I'm sure it just, even if there wasn't like a legal thing Disney had, like, you have to do this, you have to let it last for this many years or whatever, they could have just thrown grudge money at them and buried them. Like, Disney's got that kind of money.
It's true. And I do think because of them bungling that the way they did, they opened the floodgates to Disney, like, all right, well, we won't sign an exclusivity deal with anybody. The license can go to anyone who's willing to do a thing and shows us something that we like. And that was kind of a good thing to come out of it. But EA is essentially still scarred by that kind of thing. Like
Oh yeah.
the only studio that has been under their umbrella and doing consistently good work, like they didn't have to like fix it after a release, has been Respawn. Like with the Titanfall games, Apex Legends, and then the Star Wars Fallen Order game. Like
Fallen
any
Order,
other
yeah.
studio under them, like even the Battlefield games, which have been popular in the past, have not been doing as well as they used to.
I
Like-
thought 5 was taken off. Is it 5 or the
Well, I don't know, because they keep changing the name. They go to 5, then they go to like 1.
the one? And then, yeah.
So who knows? But either way, are people like super excited for the next Battlefield? I feel like
Yeah,
that
I
like
don't
that's
know
even
about that.
less. And again, I use this word kind of with a grain of salt. It's kind of
Okay.
less popular than Call of Duty. Call of Duty is amazingly popular, but
Yeah.
it doesn't get them the accolades that they want. You know what I mean? Like Activision isn't, the video game world's favorite thanks to Call of Duty. Like that's just not true. And like the same goes for EA and Battlefield right now because they haven't been galvanizing a fan base around it. Lampy in the chat saying, could it be because EA has been releasing the same games over and over again for like 10 years now? Yes, that's a big part of it. Like they don't have anything new to offer, or anything new that they do offer doesn't stick.
Yeah, Anthem was something new, and that's what sucks.
Right, yeah, that was their attempt at saying like, this is a brand new IP, it's going to be big, it's going to be another tentpole thing in EA's cap, and it didn't work. It just straight up didn't work. That's tons of money down the drain, tons of goodwill for fans, which and EA already is like on the back foot in terms of goodwill in the industry. Like people just aren't happy with them, and like they can't do anything right. It seems like
The only thing they did right was sign the contract with Star Wars. 'Cause
arguably that wasn't right because they stopped anybody else from making games for a long time. They had a 10-year exclusive deal with Star Wars, and then only released a couple of games at the very end of the thing that were halfway decent.
I was gonna say for them. No, it was good for them.
The rest of us know, but them, they made money.
Sorry, I needed to be specific.
But okay, anything else on Anthem's departure before we move into the Sony stuff?
No, let's do it, man.
No, all right then.
Yeah,
Smooth
I'm
break.
sad about that.
We'll just look at Anthem in the rearview mirror from now on. Okay, so Sony did a state of play recently, coming off of Nintendo's recent state of play, which everyone thought was disappointing. Sony kind of was sitting in a position to kind of change that narrative and get people excited about more PlayStation 5 stuff, right? You guys both saw it. What's your take on Sony's state of play? Like first impression, and then you can go into stuff that you maybe were excited about or weren't excited about.
Okay, I do want to say they did not address the most important question.
Which was?
How are you going to buy a PlayStation 5?
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. It doesn't matter what they showed, I still don't have one.
Yeah. When's the PC port? Like,
Shame.
Questions that need answers.
But in terms of the conference itself, like, let's pretend a magical world where you do have PlayStation 5.
Yeah.
Like, did anything in their conference get you excited about what's to come?
The only game. Honestly, no. I'm not hyped about anything. There's a couple things I'm like, oh, I might want to play that, but most of it was. I don't want to get into the specific things, so we're gonna get into that, but most of it just looked good. That's what I'm looking for. Most of it just looked good, especially the titles that we haven't heard of before. It looked beautiful, but yeah, no, this conference didn't do anything. It's not pushing me to buy a PS5. And I already have like my whole plan for my consoles, but it's not pushing me to get a PS5 anytime sooner.
Like, it's not giving you like a sense of urgency. Like, oh, I need.
Yeah,
makes sense.
Yeah.
How about you, Jesse? What was your reaction to this conference?
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there were any games. There were a few games that I hadn't heard of before. But the ones that I did like, so like Oddworld Soulstorm, cool. That looks fun. I like it. But I didn't see anything new for it. Like I saw new things.
Yeah,
but it's
a
like
new trailer, but
yeah, I'm seeing more gameplay. of the gameplay. I know what
Yeah.
that is already, so it wasn't
Yeah,
like, ooh. I mean, the Final Fantasy remake, I would like to play. Can't wait for the PC port. So more of that, cool. But again, not really affecting me because I don't have a PS5, and I don't plan on. I mean, I went through the whole PS4 generation without getting one. PC, sorry. I only got so much money. I only got so much money,
No,
and my
it's
PC
a
is a
good point,
business
yeah.
expense. So
Yeah, like what
the
they
two
showed
win.
is not moving the needle for someone who is looking to buy a PS5, and it's
Yeah.
definitely not moving the needle for someone who wasn't in the first place, right?
Right.
So, for me, I did think I kind of just wanted more information on the stuff that they weren't showing us, right? But mostly this was stuff that they have shown us, and then the stuff that was new. For example, Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach. I don't give a about. Like, I don't care about that franchise at all. It had
I
a
don't
big
think
reveal
a lot
trailer.
of horror fans like that franchise.
I mean, this, to be fair, this does look like a more ambitious version of what that game was. Like, it looks like they're
Definitely.
putting a lot more money behind it. Like, it looks closer to Resident Evil than whatever it was before. But
Yeah, you can walk around.
yeah, but like I don't care about that franchise. Kenna Bridge of Spirits looks delightful, right? But like, what is that if not just a reskinned? Damn, what was the name of that Xbox 360 launch game? Or was it Xbox
Cameo?
One? Cameo, yes. It
Oh,
looks like
Cameo.
that. It looks like
It
Cameo.
does. I thought the same thing, and I was like, it's probably just me, though. I won't bring that up.
Like, and
There's
we all
a-
see how far Cameo went, right? Like, it
Yeah.
seems kind of just generic, mascot platformer type. Oh, she's not a mascot; it's a human girl, but still, it's very generic looking.
Yeah.
Seafood looks kind of interesting. That's from the team that did
Absolver.
Absolver. Yes.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Hmm.
how I felt about that is kind of how I felt about Absolver. The combat is light and boring. Like, they try to make it super technical, but it never, for me, it never. I see what they wanted to do,
Mm-hmm.
and it just never came out. It's always tap 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 tap, and the dude just noodles to the floor, and then you're just like, "Oh, I'm a badass." Like, no, I want to see things breaking. I want to see the pain in his eyes, and I know the style isn't necessarily that, but I feel like the veracity that they try and bring in is just undercut by the minimalistic style.
Yeah,
And
I do want to see like actual gameplay from it because the trailer is a bit on the
basically
cinematic
did.
side. Like I thought it presented really well. Like it looked like someone saw the hallway fight scene from Daredevil and wanted to
Oh.
make a game around it. Like that's what it looks like at first glance, and I'm super down for that. But yeah,
I thought you were gonna say the raid.
the raid too. Yeah, it's just stuff like that. Just really visceral, like close
Yeah.
quarters combat. Like
Exactly.
like you're using the environment around you. It's multiple guys. Like there could be a cool experience in there, but like just like you're saying, like the execution is key. And Absolver did kind of miss the mark a little bit in its the way like it handled fighting and whatnot. So hopefully they do refine it. So I'll keep an eye on that and see like what that turns into. But yeah, everything else is just stuff that we have seen before. Biggest of which is Final Fantasy Remake, which they are releasing new stuff for it. This Intergrade expansion follows a character named Yuffie. I've never played Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
Blue, have
No.
you? You finished it?
I didn't finish it. I know of the story.
So like, does this mean anything to you, Jesse? Like
No,
Jesse
she's
as well.
definitely she's definitely a huge character, right?
Mhm.
Jesse,
yeah.
So does that excite you guys then?
Okay.
Go ahead.
Why it doesn't excite me is because I feel like it should have been in there from the get go. Like, it's Final Fantasy VII, it's the game, right? And then they're making Final Fantasy VII Part 1, Final Fantasy 2, Part 3. And I feel like they're squeezing this so much. I don't know. It's I hate that it's separate.
So I have not played, again, no PS4. I haven't played the remake of Final Fantasy. I played the original. But the remake only takes place in Midgar, correct? The big city?
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
the first couple hours of the full game that they focused on.
Yuffie doesn't show up until you go to her. I think you see her a couple times, but you don't get her as a party member, if I'm remembering correctly, until you go to her hometown. Yeah, it's like a part. You have to get to the world map and make it to the other side of the world. to get to her place and then recruit her. So her not being in there does make total sense of why, you know, she's not there yet. But they probably are. I mean, I'm not going to be like, but they're not squeezing you. Like, no, I'm sure that's exactly what they're doing because they want to make money. But yeah, I wasn't against it because, again, she's a later character. She's like the second half and then beyond. Same with like the big mascot, Kate Sith. You don't get Kate Sith until you go to the Golden Saucer, which is before halfway, but after Midgar.
But this new piece of story, like you play as Yuffie, right? Or like it's not the characters from Final Fantasy VII Remake, like, and then she's involved. It's like a side story. So is it like maybe showing what she was up to during that time period or something? Like, is that because that's the vibe I'm getting? Like it's like a Lion King 1.5 type situation.
Right. I think that's what it was going for, but I'm not entirely sure, and I guess we'll all find out when it comes out. But yeah, it does seem more like that.
Okay. But either way, like you guys who have actually played that game to some extent, that still didn't move the needle for you to be like, you know what, that was cool that they did that. PlayStation,
I will say
play
it looks
saved.
good. Oh no, it didn't say the whole thing, but I think it looks cool. I think it looks super dope. And I think the gameplay is going to be entertaining. I just hate how it's getting rolled out.
I said this before, that I do want to try a Final Fantasy, and now that these more recent ones are a little more action oriented, that I would do so. But I still would have had to pay for them. They're putting Final Fantasy VII Remake on the PlayStation Collection soon. Like I think sometime next month it's coming there. So I think I might jump into it.
To be fair, that's not the. I don't know. You know what? Let me wait to try it out before I say that. But I feel like you're not gonna get the same. This is just my thoughts. You're not gonna get the same classic Final Fantasy experience that folks have been talking about for years and years.
But I mean, that ship must have sailed for me at this point. Like, there's no way I could play like original Final Fantasy VII today and be like, you know what, that was awesome. Now I get it. Like, cause I've missed that boat. You think?
I think that.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I think that you haven't tried yet.
Fair. I mean, Jesse, we may have to start playing retro games on Fridays for Escapists.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll check out Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah. What is it? 7's on PC, 9's on PC. I don't remember. I think 6 is.
Xbox Game Pass has a good amount of them.
Yeah, I know 12 is on there, and that was another one that I wanted to try because it had a different combat system as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. At some point, I'm gonna start messing with these Final Fantasy games and stop being an old man.
Yeah, I think they can be good regardless of, it's an older game. Like I played Final Fantasy VI in like 2013 or something, and that's a SNES game, and it's a good game.
Well, I don't know.
Solid.
Like SNES games hold up much better than like console generations that have come after them, in my opinion.
All right, then how about this one? I started playing Final Fantasy IX a few years ago, which is PS1, and it is like the same menu sort of combat, and I was enjoying it until I found out the game disc was scratched beyond repair and I couldn't play it anymore.
Oh no!
Damn.
Game Pass time.
Yeah.
M. Paulton says the combat is really great in that game, but man, that story enraged me. What, in Final Fantasy VII Remake? Yeah, he's referring to the remake. But it's only part of the story, right?
Yeah. Also, the story of Final Fantasy VII is wacky. Like, there's no other way to put it.
It's pretty wild. It's extreme.
Yeah, it is. I like it, but like...
It's like some Gurren Lagann stuff. You know what I mean? Like,
hey, come on now. Gurren Lagann's amazing, though.
I'm not
wacky.
saying that's bad. I'm not saying that's bad.
Right.
All right. So you're actually telling me then. You're comparing Final Fantasy VII to Gurren Lagann.
They're not going to pull the moon out of imaginary space, but
they're going to think about it.
Yeah, they're good. There's going to be some left field, seriously.
All right. That sounds enticing. But yeah, like stuff that we kind of rolled over. Deathloop was shown again Like I'm
Yeah.
I'm super excited for that game. I do want to play that. I do want to experience what that's all about. But
Heck yeah.
like most of the stuff in this conference, like we've already seen it. We know
Seen
it's
it before.
coming. I think it got a release date though. I don't know if it had one before this. I'm unsure. Like I think it got pushed back or something, and I might have just given it one this go round. But either way, I don't think you need
Right
to play in the
now,
conference for that.
May 21st
Oh, yeah.
is when Deathloop is scheduled to release.
And yeah, and everything else is just kind of uninteresting. Like I don't want to call Returnal uninteresting because that's a new IP, right?
I wanted to talk about Returnal
Yeah, go ahead.
because I think it's an interesting. I think it's a more in-depth and I would say high-res look on a roguelike game, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's giving me Edge of Tomorrow vibes. If you've seen that movie,
Yeah.
yeah, and the whole look of it and reminds me of here's how you make a Returnal. Add 1 part Mass Effect, 1 part Dark Souls, and another part Dead Space. Boom, shake, stir. You know what I mean? That's what that looks like to me.
I'd be into that.
I can sorta see that.
From the style to the movement to even the third person feels Mass Effect-y. Dead Space.
The first thing that came to mind when I saw the third person movement was Control, actually.
Oh, okay.
Like it looks a lot like Remedy joints. And then it looked like Risk of Rain 2, which is a roguelite that takes place in 3D third person space. Like it looks just like that with like you get weird power. It's 100% a roguelite, right? Like we all saw through the whole thing. It's just a roguelite, right?
Yeah.
But it does seem like they're trying to do something with a story. It's like you get to a certain point and you saw like this is like a big house and like they're telling you some kind of story. But I don't know how that's going to progress when you die and clearly you're gonna have to start over from the beginning again, right? I don't know if they have checkpoints, blah blah blah. Like how they
probably
how they pace it out is gonna be important to maybe getting this game in the hands of people who are kind of done with roguelikes, because roguelikes have kind of taken over the indie space in general. Right. And so I don't know how many like AAA game players are gonna be hyped about that. Like Hades is probably the closest to like Hades is an indie game for sure, but it's probably the closest to breaking through to like mainstream than a lot of these other ones. Aside from like the most popular like Binding of Isaac and Splunky, etc.
And Enter the Gungeon.
Right, yeah, stuff like that. So I don't know.
Not a good. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say like Returnal seems like more of what we've been getting versus something actually new. Like when they first announced it, I'm like, okay, this seems like a new IP, new world. What is this gonna be about? And then they turn around and tell us it's a roguelike. It's like, all right, well, this is gonna be like a lot of things we've seen before. Like kills a ton of interest for me at least.
Yeah,
I see that.
I like sci-fi and I like horror, so and I'm not against roguelikes. So it's bad that I forgot that was shown. Like that's not
true.
Legit.
Oh no!
You brought it up and I was like, this sounds familiar. Oh yeah. So I am interested, but yes, they are going to have to show why it's not just a 3D roguelike with a budget.
For sure. And I think that's where they missed the mark overall. Is like they showed us things that just didn't elicit much emotion. And so like by their next day, like if I didn't pull back up the list, I would not have been able to tell you what was on that thing other than like Final Fantasy and Deathloop. And because Deathloop I was already looking forward to, that's why I remembered that was there, Yeah. So like everything else just kind of floats into the ether. And that's not what you want a freaking state of like they're updating us. They're saying, hey, this is what we're working on, get excited. And it's like, wait, what was on that thing again?
Y'all didn't remember when they showed Knockout City?
oh right, yeah. I put that on the list and still forgot it. Oh man, that looks a lot like that Destruction All-Stars game that they released.
Yeah, I thought it was the same thing.
Yeah, it looks very similar, but like, yeah, I don't know.
It looks just like Ninjala to me.
It does look like Ninjala. It's PlayStation's Ninjala.
This is my concern, guys. I completely agree with you. We have not been impressed by this. The mini direct or the full direct that just happened. Are we getting too difficult to impress? Are we just like numb to everything now? Just like you said, Sigma, when we when we saw Returnal, we didn't get any kind of emotional response because we've seen this stuff before. But if you kind of take it out of what you've seen before, it's still an amazing piece of work. So why are we not like, oh wow, this is pretty interesting? You know what I mean? Like, why are we not doing that? Are we numb?
I could speak for me,
Yeah.
but I think that's an excellent question. I'm very curious about what both of you think.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, okay. I think that's again an excellent question, and I do think part of the problem is I'll say, yeah, me. Because when I see a great game trailer, as someone who might have to review this, be like, okay, but like, do I want to? Like, am I gonna have to play this? Like, it's not just me looking at the games I'm interested in. Like, ooh, this horror game, ooh, this whatever, cool, new From Software game, yay. But like, that's close enough to what I play. Am I, is this going to be my,
Like, is this going
in
to be
2
thrown
months?
upon me?
Right. Is this going to be my
Oh.
job in 2 months?
That's a
So
shame.
I do think that part of it is that. And like, not that it completely robs the joy of video games from me at all. I definitely don't.
Yeah, I was praying
But-
that was the case.
Not at all.
Oh no.
Because that's also that's also sometimes a blessing because I'll, something will come across the Slack and be like, someone want to get this? Like, yeah, sure, I'll play it, whatever. And then
you end up.
love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, there's multiple games that has happened to where I was like, yeah, whatever, I'll play it. I'll give it my best. And it was fantastic. So I am part of the problem.
Oh.
Good to call me out on that, I think.
No, yeah, I do think that's an excellent question. Like, I will also agree, yes, I'm absolutely jaded, for sure. 100% for sure. But I will say that I do think that oftentimes I'm able to recognize that in myself. And like, even if I'm like, well, I feel like I know everything there is to know about this thing, though I haven't played it, I'll still reserve judgment until I actually play it. Right?
Yeah.
And in those cases, I can definitely be proven wrong. Like, I love to be proven wrong when it comes to video games. Like, if I'm playing a thing that I wasn't interested in and it does hook me, great. Absolutely. But I don't know, like, I do think on the flip side of that, having like the wealth of knowledge of like just what has come before in terms of games and like just what mechanics look like and how they tend to work in certain spaces, I do think I'm not alone in being part of the audience that Sony is, sending stuff out to. Like, sure, there are more casual people who might be more entertained by this stuff, but then there are the people like me and you guys who study this stuff, right? And who will not be impressed by certain things. And even if some of it is for them, you do got to give the other half, or at least part of it, to us, like, because we're going to be the people who come on a podcast and say the Sony conference was freaking amazing because look at this, that, and the third. And then all the people who aren't making content like this, the more casual audience who might see it, can then get that message. So like, I do think Sony can appeal to the casual, but like, if they forget about the hardcore, if they forget about the jaded, it's a problem because we can turn around and sway the people who were excited into saying, okay, well, maybe I'm not that excited. And not to say that, you should just take on other people's opinions, but that's what we do. We talk about video games and then people bounce their thoughts off of ours, and that's how discourse is shaped. So for sure I'm jaded. Okay. Yes, I'll 100% come to that.
It just sounded so cold. I just imagine both of y'all looking at the screen and just flashing lights and just no emotion. I'm like, that is so sad. But no, I see what you're saying, and that makes sense. You know what I mean? You got to consider all the demographics, especially the people that are working like us, times like this, to talk about your material. Give us something to talk about.
Right, yeah. Like, they should just pay more attention to that, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And there are some good examples of that. Like we were talking about Deathloop. And that, okay, yeah, I mean, in this conference is like we already know. Yeah, just we're waiting for it. Like you don't...
Yeah. But it's made such an impression already that we're still like talking about it. I feel what you're saying.
Lampy in the chat says, hey, I was pretty impressed by what I saw of the Gen 4 remakes. Yeah, there was a Pokemon Direct that I didn't put in today's topics. But yeah, they announced a bunch of remakes. They also announced, Pokemon Legends Arceus, which looks to maybe be the open world Pokemon game that we wanted from Sword and Shield, but honestly, Sword and Shield burned me in a way that I need to wait and see more. Like
I
I'm not
understand that.
hype about Legends until I know more about that game.
I
That's pretty sad.
100% understand that. I finished Sword and Shield and had almost zero desire to pick it back up.
Yeah, I didn't finish Sword and Shield. I was enjoying it when I was playing it. I was like, Pokemon. I remember this. Like, this was fun, but it's like I've played this before. Just because it's like prettier and in 3D doesn't mean that it's like a brand new experience for me. Like, this is the same game it's always been. So I don't know. I need to see more from Legends Arceus. Lampy also adds, part of the problem, as I see it, could be because there hasn't been the events they used to do for people like you because of the pandemic.
True.
That's true, yeah. The big conferences and stuff have fallen to the wayside thanks to the pandemic. And also, I do think a bigger issue is some of the stuff that maybe they were working on is further along now because of the pandemic. So, like, if they were usually to have some newer stuff on schedule to show us, they don't anymore. So it's these smaller projects where maybe the teams were already separated. They weren't impacted a ton by having to like leave an office or something. Like those are still coming out, and they would usually, be smaller sections of a conference. They're filling up a whole conference because that's all that's left. I feel like that could be a possibility.
Yeah.
Okay.
But anything else on the Sony conference before we close things out for today?
No, man, I hit all my points on that.
I guess
I made a list.
I guess the only thing I could think. Oh, were you about to say something?
Oh no.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was more excited before the PlayStation 5 released, and they actually had a conference just talking about the technical aspects, and they talked about like what 3D sound is
I remember
and how
that
they're
TED
going to
Talk.
use it. Yeah, it was totally a TED Talk. And like how they were going to use Rumble in a different way. And it was something new. And I have heard really great things about the PS5's Rumble, and I can't wait to get that on my computer and play with that. And like the way 3D sound works. I love audio, and like how they were explaining it and the stuff they wanted to do with it. Awesome. Like that stuff was new. Like, hey, we're advancing things. Where a lot of the conference stuff kind of felt like these are just games, and they weren't really showing why they were that great.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it was just dump a bag of video game discs on the table.
And I think part of the reason for that is that not all of the PS5 exclusives, so they're not highlighting the PS5. And I think that's part of what you're feeling too.
And even if they were, we don't got one. So like just like Jesse said at the start, like the biggest issue is that no one can get their hands on one. Like why even bother showing us games that we can't play?
Facts. Yeah.
So I mean they're kind of forced at this point to also show a bunch of PS4 stuff because that's what everybody has. So all right. Well, we're gonna wrap things up. Blue, where can people find you on the internet if they're looking for you?
If you're looking for me on the internet, you can find me if you search BLUB0NES on Twitter, Twitch, Facebook. What else we got? Instagram. You know what I mean? Hit that follow button. Let's see. What do I got coming up? We're doing Super Smash Sunday tonight. Or this afternoon, excuse me. Yeah. And then I got a couple. I'm trying to stream a little bit more throughout the week, but our free for all Fridays have been killer. The last week was great, but I'm excited to do it again. Coming week on Friday, we got Killer Queen Black.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Which that proved, man. I remember when we played it off stream, we were screaming and laughing and cursing at each other. So I cannot wait to do that again on stream. So definitely look out for that, yo.
Just real quick before I give Jesse a sign off. Lampy says no one can get a graphics card either, Casey. Should we just give up on games?
I mean, if Stadia was in the state it should be in, you wouldn't need one. You could just use it on Stadia.
Facts.
Right. That is true.
100%.
How about you, Jesse? Where can people find you and your work on the internet?
Cool. Pretty much anywhere I am, Reddit, Twitter, all that jazz is up here, RexCon Jesse. I stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/RexCon Jesse. I do my retro stuff, which is my previews for what I'm going to be doing for Behind Schedule, which is Monday mornings, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Try to snag people on their lunch breaks, give you something entertaining during that time.
Nice.
Or if it's a different hour for you, whatever time that is.
Yeah.
Time is
And
relative.
then yeah, exactly. And then I stream Thursdays on my channel with my friend Rainbow Blight, and we do fun stuff. We're gonna try and do some community stuff, maybe some Left 4 Dead or some Jackbox or something too coming up. And we do that Thursdays, 5 o'clock to 7 Eastern Time.
Sweet. You can catch me
And then-
at. I'm sorry, you weren't
I was
finished.
gonna say, oh yeah, and I'm on the Escapist, but
Yes, go look at all that stuff over there. You can find me at my Twitter, SigmaGears9. I usually post what I'm streaming or working on there for you to go click a link and follow. The most recent A Marvelous Escape podcast went up yesterday. Check that out. Episode 8 of WandaVision is a hoot. What else? Oh, Super Smash Sunday after this, 2:30 p.m. Eastern. I'm going to be joined by Blue and I believe Ash today. Not sure about Jeff yet.
Yes. I'm super excited about that.
But come through, play Smash with us. Other than that, just follow the Twitter. That's all I can really say. Follow Twitter. I might be releasing some videos, like some promo videos, like for some of the stuff I'm doing in the near future. So keep an eye out for that. I just need to get a haircut first. That's what's really holding up the production of that stuff. So just follow Twitter. Keep an eye on that. Lampy says, "Don't make me get a Twitter, please, Casey. You have to, Lampy."
Bro, we didn't want to get it either.
Right.
Trust me.
It's
it was occupational.
It really is at this
do
point.
it. Get a Twitter, get a Twitch, follow everybody that you see right now. Please and thank you.
Yeah.
So that's going to do it for episode 18 of The Sigma Show. Thank you, Blue Bones, for joining me. Thank you, RexCon Jesse, for joining me. Thank you, everybody in the chat, for watching and participating. Peace.
Deuces.
Bye, everybody.